Damn. Okay. We're live, Gary Roberts. Name and location.
Gary Roberts, ARMTV, bro.
I'm so excited, buddy.
I have to wear my glasses to see you.
Oh, no. It's probably better you keep them off.
Okay.
I'm not as refined as I used to be.
What's up, man?
I
look a little.
Keep you. Yeah. COVID's been rough up here, man. We're all locked up.
How's my audio? Is it okay?
Yeah, perfect. Mine?
Yeah, great.
So let me introduce you to everybody who doesn't know you, which in the arm wrestling community, I feel like everybody knows you. But you were the guy, man. You were the guy who built so much of this crazy stuff. Basically, what, from 2003? Was it 3? Yeah. 2003, man. Back in the good old days, back when there was nothing. Hey, before we go any further, guys, I'm gonna just make a prediction right now that by the time Gary releases all his banks of footage, he will eclipse every single arm wrestling channel that's out there right now, and you're going to have the biggest channel on YouTube just based off of past stuff. So I'm so excited that you're back. I'm so excited that you're opening this stuff back up to the community. Dude, you're a leader in this game, and I'm happy to have you on here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr. Devon. Can I give you a little backstory? A little one?
Yeah, please.
Nobody knows this. Nobody in the world. Nobody. I just realized it just came back to me because it's been so long now. But so I was doing videography, and I was trying to make a living at filming weddings. And back then the internet was just, you could just put a video. No videos were online, just in general, but I knew it was coming. For some reason, I just felt it. And I was like, it makes no sense if I want to give a wedding person, somebody I want to have as a client, give them a DVD, when I should just be able to send them a link on the internet and they should be able to watch it. And it made so much sense to me. So that's how I was trying to learn how to stream videos. And at that time, streaming, only a handful of people even knew what that was. But when I discovered arm wrestling and I went to a practice, Harold Wright invited me over to his house for a practice. And this guy, Jeremy Plaster, he said, "Oh my God, I would pay you. I would fly you to my tournament and I would pay you for this." And at that time, I was like, oh, snap. And here's the thing that no one knows. At that time, the question I had to ask myself, I was like, okay, when you're filming weddings, every weekend you need to find a new client. They only get married once. And I was like, arm wrestlers, if they want me to film them, I could be like their personal videographer, and I wouldn't have to find a new person every time. I could just film the same people. And it just made so much sense to me. So during that time period, when you say the archive, I have thousands of arm wrestlers that I followed over a period of time, that I have them before the match, during the match, after the match. I love to talk to people. So I have thoughts, feelings, emotions. We partied together. We drank together. And I have this collection of life that, it really is priceless. I know, when I have people reach out to me, people who pass away, and I shouldn't have quoted people who die, it's sad. But they are like, hey man, you have experiences that I never knew about. Can you share them? And anyways, I can't wait to share it with the world, man. It's special. And I'm happy to be putting my foot back in the water again.
Dude, it's so awesome because a lot has changed since you left. 2011, right?
Yeah, what? What's changed? I
feel like, so when you were rocking back in it's a completely different era, right? From 2003 to 2011, it was basically individual dudes it was people with a love for the community. You know, it was really more regional, really. Like it was before the UAL. It was like Harleypool, Mike Gould Classic. There was a big scene pulling John, right? I mean, this is the era. Since you left, I mean, UAL really went far. Game of Arms, World Arm Wrestling League, PAL's gone to new levels, and now arm wrestling has like we have a lot of fans now. Like before, I feel like it was mostly we were doing it with each other. It was arm wrestlers loving arm wrestlers, and now it's different.
Nick, can I say one thing? Back in the day, here's what I had to do. So I would be at a tournament in California, and I'd say, "Oh, who do you want to arm wrestle, or who do you think you can beat?" And someone would pick somebody, like, let's say they wanted to arm wrestle someone on the East Coast. I'd be like, "Talk a little trash, and they'd be like, "Oh, I can beat whoever." Then I'd fly to the East Coast and I'd run into a tournament. I'd run into that guy and I'd be like, camera in his face. I'd be like, "Hey, Jamie says he kicked your ass. What do you think about that?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, let's bring it on." And I'm like, "Well, are you going to nationals?" And I'd have to like set up the hype for an event. And, it's like it was the seeds of what would be to come. Like now, with the big money, they're setting up all these matches, but I had to really nurture those things in the online with everything. We didn't have that back in the day where you could just create the storyline.
I mean, there wasn't Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It was all in its infancy.
No YouTube when I started, sir. No YouTube.
That's right.
My ARMTV was first. Oh, can I give you another story?
Yeah, man. That's what we're here for.
Okay, so when we first started this whole journey, I was thinking to myself, I was like, I got to think of something catchy. And for some reason, the song, I want my MTV. And I was thinking about the 80s when music television started, and the whole branding was they got people to say, "I want my MTV."
That's
so
right.
When I started to go to early tournaments, I had people say, I was like, "MTV, ARMTV." It was like just made sense, and it was like this. So I had people say, "I want my ARMTV," and that's how I built the brand, and everyone got like excited about it. And
how much footage do you got, Gary? Like if you were to release a video, like a 20-minute video every day, how far can we go?
Easily 3 years. I'm thinking it's more like 5 years.
Hey, listen up, everybody. If you're not subscribed right now, get over to Gary's channel. I'm going to put a link below. Get over there and subscribe now, because you're going to be able to watch arm wrestling every single night for 3 years. And this was an era of arm wrestling that is different than now, but it was great arm wrestling. I was watching some of your old stuff, and it's amazing to me how much not only the scene has changed, but even technique. Like, man, there's like almost no slipping. Like people are holding on to each other. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Why? Why did that change?
So there's a couple significant cultural rule change shifts that happened over the years that influenced the entire technical flow of arm wrestling. It really had a lot to do with TV, and it had a lot to do with live audiences and stuff like that. It started, I'd say, with Arm Wars. And Arm Wars was around when, I mean, you were still doing it, but it takes time for people to really figure out how to get through all the loopholes. So it started off with all slips go to straps. Yeah, just that rule changed things a lot. Just the accessibility of the strap started to change things. Then WAL made it, because we're on TV and a live audience, we're like, okay, everybody slips now. Let's just make it after 30 seconds, everybody goes to straps after 30 seconds. So yeah, the strap game, and everybody got really good in a strap. So
wow.
Yeah. But
so when you watch that footage, would you prefer that holding on? And I
Yeah.
mean, or if there's like $20,000 on the line, is it like there's no playing? You have to do what you have to do.
Hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of arm wrestling. I love arm wrestling. I love old school arm wrestling. I mean, I like it when they're in the cups. I like it. I like WL. I like everything. I like freedom, whatever. I just think holding hands and crushing people is cool. But it's just interesting how the rules will change what you do. And I think that when you get a live studio audience, a live audience, people watching, when you go back to like the amount of time it takes to set your grip and the inevitability of going to a strap, I don't know that at this point there's any getting around it. I think that you could have like, I don't really want to say what I prefer because I like it both. I think it's fine. Yeah.
So I've been watching a lot of the videos now that I'm getting back into it. And I hear comments, there's a lot of comments saying, I mean, forgive me, but they're saying like, oh, arm wrestling shit today. I like it back when this, like what, like they're giving a little disrespect to where the sport is at in terms of that, the techniques and I'm just, is that true? I wouldn't know this to be the case. I'm only reading comments online.
Well, no, and I look at I think that anybody who spends time on the internet knows that as the amount of love you receive grows, you get a proportionate equal amount of hate.
Right.
Okay. Arm wrestling is huge. Okay. It's big now. Like, and yeah, there's haters. Arm wrestling is a reflection of a lot of things. Rules. It's a reflection of what's being asked of the athletes, the stakes. Look, if you were to take the sport back to where it was, there's a lot to love. There's a lot to love in that era when really nobody was really doing it for money. Really, I mean, when you go back that era, I mean, we were talking about $1,000, really, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a great tournament. Like back from 2003, 2008, like you win $1,000. That's awesome.
Can I
buddy.
say something? Because you brought up the television. That's always been a sore. So I don't know if you know, but I had a partner early on, Dave Devoto, and he was really interested in ARMTV. And him and John Bergeson, the minute they got a television deal, they're like, ARMTV who? It's like no access, just totally like, oh, not as important. And I kept telling all the arm wrestlers, listen, man, arm wrestling on television can be a hard sell. I'm like, but ARMTV, if you help me build this, we could build something that will last for eternity. And I kept using the Netflix model because I was like, Netflix, the minute like ABC and Disney, the minute they pulled their content off Netflix, it forced Netflix to create their own content. And they went, in a handful of years, they went from being a laughing stock to, award winners. And I was like trying to tell the arm wrestlers, you've got to support ARMTV because we could change the world. And because I love arm wrestling, I want it to last forever. I don't want just to rub my ego and have a big tournament for a couple of years. So I was like, for some reason, every time television came along, television deals, ARMTV always got the like shitty end of the stick. In fact, when Wall started, I was like, hey man, I can only say this. There was one time we had a deal on Fox and I was brought in. I went to Fox television studios and I worked with their editors. And by the time they told me, they're like, holy shit, man, you know your shit. Like you helped us close this show. And I'm like, yeah, because I fucking love it. And I've been around it. And you guys have only saw the footage as of 2 weeks ago. So when I was like, hey man, bring me on as a producer. I can help you produce good shows. They're like, well, we can make you a camera, like one of the camera operators. And I'm like, no, bro. Anyways, I've never been, the last Worlds I ever went to, they tried to not allow me on the stage. And then the newspaper guy came in and they gave him a full access pass. And I was like, fuck, dude, what do I got to do to get some respect around in this sport? It's like, holy shit. So I walked away, you know, it started to, there was a day, can I be real with you? I'll be real. It's not good what I did, but I did it. And I had a conversation with Jake Smith. So when I originally got a job with CrossFit, the original deal with Devon was like, he's like, I want you to work ARMTV and CrossFit. The whole thing is you can travel wherever you want. You should do arm wrestling and CrossFit. So you commingle. But ARMTV wasn't building. If I worked 50 hours, I wouldn't raise my membership. If I worked 80 hours, one time I worked over 80 hours and I hired multiple film crews and my numbers didn't go up. And CrossFit was paying me consistently money. So I just stopped working ARMTV, but the revenue stayed the same. And I got pissed. I was like, are you telling me that the arm wrestling community won't respect if I put in 1,000 hours? There's no differentiation in how much I got paid, whether I worked 0 hours or 1,000 hours. The numbers stayed the same. So I told Jake Smith, I was like, dude, I haven't worked for like a month and I've still made X amount of dollars this month. And he's like, well, that's kind of shitty. Shouldn't you be working? I was like, why would I work really hard when I still get paid the same? So I stopped working ARMTV. And then, of course, after a year, then finally my numbers went down. People realized like, oh, Gary Roberts, he kind of quit. And it was like, I just got so soured on not seeing my dreams realized. Anyways, I walked away from the sport and it took me, I no longer work for CrossFit and I've been meaning to go back through all this footage, but I was really disillusioned by low resolution. I hate anything that's not HD. Can't stand it. And the technology now that you can upscale low resolution to high resolution has really come on along. And so I'm like, oh, this is the game changers. This is what I needed. So anyways, I went on that whole diatribe about television. I'm sorry. Just because all the big money came in, everyone's like, ARMTV, who? But it'll be funny that now I share all this content. It's like, oh, people are loving it again. I was like, well, had you kept loving it, bro? I hosted 3 years in a row, $20,000 tournaments, thanks to Don Fritchie sponsoring us. I wanted to host $20,000 events once a month for 50 straight years. I don't know if arm wrestlers have ever had that kind of consistent money, but had we achieved our dreams, that's what I would have done. In fact, I'm thinking to myself, if my YouTube channel grows and we just got monetized today, actually, so congratulations to us. But I was like, if my YouTube channel grows, like maybe I should take 50% of the whatever revenue it generates for 1 year. Tell the arm wrestlers, you got 1 year, 1 fucking year. I'll contribute to ARMTV's first tournament back. We host a tournament, a big ROTN, ARMTV Classic, whatever you call it. And I'll put in the prize money. It'll be unknown. 50% of whatever revenue the channel generates, I'll put it all into prize money. Whatever that is. If it's $1,000, I guess I'm having a little amateur event. If it's $10,000, we'll have some semi-pros. If it's 100,000, then bring on the world. You know what I mean? It's like, I believe in this sport. I love it. And I'm excited to be back. I'm sorry. I forgive me for ranting.
Dude, I love your rants. The thing is, the thing that's the most beautiful thing about arm wrestling to me, and what you captured so well, is the community. Like, people get excited about the high level matches, the TV, and that's all great. And it's the pinnacle of our sport. But the thing that I love most of all is just getting together with people, training, tournaments, coming together. And I feel like you captured that for an entire period.
Yeah. You know what? Some of the bigger channels have some cool practices that have got a lot of hits of people just goofing around. And I was like, yeah. Oh, dude, I have John Brzenk in his prime just pulling people forever in someone's backyard. I'm like, dude, I read someone online. They're like, wow, they're like, I'm so used to John Brzenk having like gray hair. They were so weirded
Yeah.
out by seeing
Yeah.
a young John. They're like, do you have any more young John? I was like, bro, what are you talking about? Do we have any more young John Brzenk? That's the era
I
I
know.
was in.
Dude, I'm so excited. I don't think people even realize, I mean, what you have. You've got a gold mine. Most of the people who watch arm wrestling now, like most of the people online, have probably only been following arm wrestling for 3 years or less.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they've got an awakening because I've got so much, man. I've got so much gold. Your video, it was just the tip. It was like, it was one of my favorite moments. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is the best video. And I'm like, oh my God, we have like 100 of
Just
things
get
like
ready.
this.
Just get ready. Yeah.
You know what though? Here's the thing. Here's what is crazy. When I thought I would just start, I thought this would be a little part-time gig rolling out these videos. I've worked it for like 5 to 10 days. I have a new baby, so it's very hard to manage a new son, uh, kind of switching off with my wife while trying to work, going through these videos. I'm like, holy shit, this is like a full-time job, just going through videos that I've already edited. I'm like, back then I traveled to film it, came back, then edited it, then posted it. And I was like, today I'm just going through it, posting. I'm like, holy shit, dude, I worked like 3 jobs back then to capture all this. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
So,
I've always, that's the thing I've always loved about you, Gary. You're a bit of a maniac.
yeah.
You throw yourself into stuff hard. I'm curious about, interesting thing is you and Savon.
Yeah.
Like, you guys came into the sport together. You kind of both captured a certain period. Savon transitioned to CrossFit. You transitioned to CrossFit. I'd just be curious about your relationship with Savon through that period, and what's the relation between arm wrestling and CrossFit? Is there any, like, are our communities at all similar?
Well, so the story goes like this. It was Father's Day weekend. Oh shit, dude, it's the anniversary. It was Father's Day weekend that I was at this little festival, and I heard them announce there's an arm wrestling tournament. And I was like, arm wrestling tournament? What the heck is that? And I went, and at that time, when you're trying to learn as an editor, the best way to learn is just to film everything you can and edit it to whatever. And as a wedding guy, I was doing a bunch of lovey-dovey songs. And I saw arm wrestling. I was, oh my God, this would be perfect to some like rock and roll. So I went to this tournament, and the reason it's stuck in my brain, arm wrestling, is I saw this skinny guy, Harold Ryan, go up against this UFC looking stacked guy. And I thought to myself, oh, that UFC stacked looking dude with the big guns is going to destroy the skinny guy. And Harold just top rolled his ass. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So I was so excited to go home and edit that video. So anyways, within a couple months, ARMTV was launched. It was like, we went that fast. And then I went to my first big tournament, and Sevon Matosian was there. And that's when I like introduced myself. And when I found out his story, and he was good, he was trying to do a documentary on the Armenian genocide, and he accidentally hit search before he finished Armenian, and an arm wrestling result came up, and he went to a tournament on the same exact weekend that I did, like a few months earlier. So we like introduced each other, and the thing was, like, Bessie was his partner at the time. I don't know in the very beginning that there was a really, it was like, hey man, we're producing a documentary, stay out of our shots kind of vibe. I'm not saying, I got that feeling mostly from Bessie, not Savon. Like, we're doing a job, but every big tournament I went to, he was at. And so we kept like running into each other at arm wrestling tournaments. And just like a relationship develops, like I've become friends with you, I slowly became friends with Sevon. He posted a clip from the AAA Nationals that I didn't go to that year at Travis Bajan. And I was so jealous that I wasn't at the tournament that I said to myself, I'm never missing another tournament again. I'm going to be at every tournament that he's at. And so it was like Pulling John and ARMTV just covering arm wrestling at the exact same time for like a long time. And one day, I think it was the Mike Gould Classic. I feel like he was hanging out with you at the time. Oh, and he sent me a link. He goes, "Hey man, you should post one time a day, just like this website, CrossFit." And he sent me the link to CrossFit. He had just started working out. And then I kind of kept in the back of my head, but I never could post once a day. I like batched, I just edited and threw it all up. Anyways, one time we were sitting down at the Michael Classic after the event, and he goes, every once in a while I get a gig that I can't go to. Would you ever be interested in? He was like going to go to China or something. He couldn't make it. And I was like, of course. I'm like, dude, if you ever need like somebody, I'd be right there. And he just said like, hey man, I really respect your work ethic. I gave him a password to ARMTV, and he always was just like very supportive. Every time I sent out an ARMTV update, he was just like checking in, because eventually he wrapped up Pulling John filming and he started going off to CrossFit. And when he started there, it was like a handful of people, just a handful. And we just kept in touch. And at the time, my previous wife, I said, hey, I think of ARMTV when cell phones started to come out. I went. I Forgive me for going off track here, but I used the Arnold Classic as kind of like my marker. When I went to the first year of the Arnold Classic, nobody was filming, and then every year there's slowly cell phones. And the Arnold Classic used to be one of my best revenue months. And there was a time where I went there, and when I got home, all the matches were on YouTube, the good ones, and I didn't make any new members. And I told my family, I was like, I'm fucked. I'm out of business. I'm like, I used to be the only place to get cool footage, and now everyone has a cell phone, and I'm over. My career's over. ARMTV, the dream is gone. So I sent Sevon an email, and I was telling you the other day, I really went through a funk because I had identified myself so tightly with arm wrestling. Like, I was ARMTV. I made so many promises about what I was going to do for this sport. I was going to be the guy. Everyone who came in, even the ROTN, when Don Fritchie and I hooked up, and I was like, every big ass tournament never makes it past 3 years. Not us. We're going to do it. And then the recession hit, and we only made it 3 years. And it was like, damn it. And there, I got a little suicidal. Honestly, I was like, I couldn't picture a life without arm wrestling. And the revenue just slowly started to, I used to get new members, then I stopped getting new members. And when I'd see the footage on YouTube, I just got more sad. So I sent Sevon an email, and I was like, dude, I need to find something else. I said, is there any opportunities for CrossFit? And he goes, well, you got to do CrossFit first. You can't just, I'm not just going to hire you to make CrossFit videos. So he challenged me to do CrossFit for 3 months, and I lost 50 pounds.
Killing the fat man.
Killing the Fat Man. It went viral. It has over 1 million hits on YouTube. And I still get messages to this day, people saying I helped them, decide to change their lives. Anyways, to make a long story short, I started working for CrossFit, and I feel like the luckiest man in the world, because I had the best job in the world with arm wrestling. And if you're going to have your business go under and you have to get another job, working for Sevon Matosian and traveling around the world with CrossFit is as close to the best job in the world. I worked for myself, so I at least had that, but it was like 2 gigs in a row where it was the dream job. But anyways, some things changed the last couple of years, and I no longer work for CrossFit, but I would take a bullet for Sevon. I would jump in front of a bus for that man. He changed my life. He still loves him some Devon Larratt. He always liked the pros. Devon, Travis, John, Celiaris. But as far as arm wrestling and CrossFit, we tried to get it at the games the one time. I don't know really what happened to it, but this is kind of going to sound out there, but I like fantasized about having a CrossFit, an arm wrestling event, where before we started the arm wrestling event, I had all the CrossFitters, all the arm wrestlers do some fitness stuff because I wanted to see a more fitness element in it. But I talked to Bob Brown. He's like, that's the stupidest idea in the world. It'd never work. So
Bob Brown is like an angry Muppet. Don't expect him to be positive too much.
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short is Devon changed my life in multiple ways. And, you know, I'll be forever indebted to him. I can't say much. Oh, yeah. Oh, so I thought I left something out, but I think I gave you the whole thing.
Yeah, you know, Savon, the coolest thing I find about Savon these days is watching what he's doing with his kids. His kids are going to be so amazing. Like, dude. Wow.
Yeah, I did a podcast with him a few weeks ago where he was catching up. I've slipped on my fitness and having a baby. I've kind of eaten shitty. I've gained some of the weight back, but I have been trying to work out. I haven't fully cleaned up my nutrition. So I was talking to him and I was like, hey, Sevy, how much does the kids' gym cost? If I want to, if I want my son to have all that equipment, he's like, oh, dude, don't even ask. He's like, I've been collecting it. He's like, the floor and the med balls, the slam balls, that's probably like $7,000 right there. He's like, who knows? Then he has like the whole Rogue apparatus in his backyard. I mean, it's amazing. But his kids, oh my God, they are going to be like true champions. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Hey, so, can I ask you a question about you?
Yeah, buddy.
What?
Wait. You probably want to know about how I do such high resolution on my channel, don't you?
No, I was gonna ask. I probably have some social media questions I can ask you offline, but I'm like the status of your arm wrestling, like John Brzenk. If you watch, I just watched Pulling John again, and then like his career, 25 years or whatever at that time, and then now it's been another 10 plus years, and like he started as like a little baby. Did you start as young as him?
Yeah, but not to the same degree. Like I was arm wrestling with my grandmother when I was like 5, and I arm wrestled through school, but I didn't have anybody. Like I feel like John was like in with like his dad was an arm wrestler, and I think that, you know, he was being mentored by a professional and being plugged into the scene way earlier than I was. Yeah, I wasn't really in the scene until I was like 18, 19.
So if John Brzenk is the greatest of all time, the GOAT, how much more, like if the greatest of all time measurement is like 1 to 10 and John is 10, where does Devon Larratt fall on being close? Will you ever be?
No, John, I don't think that John can really be touched. Like I feel like he owns to be John Brzenk. Oh my God. Can anybody do that? Like, I feel like from the time John was like basically a child, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, what was he? Was he 18 when he cleaned up over the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 18, and what is he now? He's in his mid to late 50s, and he's still he's invited to the top 8, and a lot of people think he can win it. Like,
so no one can ever do that again. I mean,
no, I don't think it can be done now. Just because the thing is John was just so far ahead of the pack. I feel like he knew what arm wrestling was about when nobody did. I feel like he was so far ahead of everybody. I feel like now is a different time. Like I feel like just because of our level of communication, people just get plugged in, and everybody knows. Like everybody basically has access to the same ideas, the same equipment, clubs, information. It just happens way faster now for people. It's hard to break out.
The thing that surprised me, and it kind of deterred me for a second from getting back into the sport, is I was thinking about going to a tournament, and I started looking it up, and I thought I'd see some fresh names, and I was like, holy shit, the guys that were winning, the top 3 guys that were winning all the big stuff, they're still like the same top guys here. Like 10 years later, I'm like, that is crazy to me. where is the future John Brzenks, the future Devon Larratt, the future Cobra Rhodes? Where are the young ones? Like, can anyone? Are you guys gonna be like 70 and still beating up on people? Because no
I
one
feel
can.
like, yeah, it's tough in so arm wrestling is a sport where, you can be old. So long as you still love it and keep training, you don't really decline the way you do in some sports. There is new blood. There absolutely is. There are a ton of, I feel like you're just starting to peek your head back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll see. There's tons of new talent out there, and oh man, like they are so good, but they're just not as well known. You'll see the same names, like all the old guys are still kicking ass, but there's a crop of new blood out there that is scary good, and they're like in their early 20s. Like, I'm lucky because I've gotten to travel around a lot. There's a lot of young talent out there. And I think that now with the exposure that we're getting both on YouTube and on television, young guys, like guys who would have maybe gone to a different sport, are now choosing arm wrestling. Yeah.
So can I ask you one more? What is the dominant? Like, who's the dominant organization now? Is it Paul?
Yeah. So I think that there's a few ways to measure it. I think that it really falls into a few categories. So in North America, it's World Arm Wrestling League, and I even extend that to WAL owns a massive part of the world because of they're just really professional. Like, I feel like World Arm Wrestling League does probably the best job of promotion. So that means, like, they make arm wrestling super cool and super fun and super nice to watch. Like, if I want to watch a show, if I have to pick, I'm probably picking a WAL show right away. When you get more hardcore in arm wrestling, people look at PAL because PAL has like some incredible depths to their talent. Like, there are arm wrestlers in PAL that are scary good. And I would say, to be totally honest, the number one guy in the world right now is most likely Levon Saganishvili. And he's a big Georgian monster. I don't know if you know this guy.
Yeah. I just clicked on his name 2 nights ago.
Ridiculous. And so they have a lot of talent. So guys who are into arm wrestling, they want to follow great athletes. PAL owns a portion of them. And I'd say that, amateur arm wrestling has had a few hiccups just the last little year because of politics between WAF and IFA. But that's still a big thing, and that's continuing to grow. But the biggest change in the last little while has just been social media, independent, just people pushing the sport. So guys like Ryan Bowen, Schoolboy. Oh my God, you talk about hey, what's the name of that channel? What is the name of that channel? Gary.
Hey, I don't want to get into it yet, but yes, there's a little bit of a trademarking theft there. But I mean,
smart move, Alexander. Smart move. Hey, you can't knock what he's done, right? Like, yeah. So guys like that, they've pushed it, right? And when you talk about eyeballs and numbers, like, hey, probably more people in the world know who Schoolboy is than any other arm wrestler, just based off, and that's fantastic. So I think that when you talk about arm wrestling, you can look at it a whole bunch of different ways.
So if, let's say, my channel takes off and I want to host an event, and I'm able to rally up some prize money, let's say $1,500 for first place, $1,000 for second, $500 for third, $3 for fourth. Is every good arm wrestler locked up in some sort of contract where they can't come to my tournament? Or are you guys allowed to arm wrestle if somebody wants to come make?
Yeah, there's definitely some wiggle room. A lot of the top guys are somewhat constrained. But I'll tell you, if I was in your shoes, okay, the first thing I do is I just slowly roll that stuff out, and I just take your time, get re-familiar with what's going on, fall back in love with arm wrestling, get out there. And I wouldn't try to be competitive. I would try to be unique, right?
Yeah.
The same way you were unique all that time ago. Hey, man, like the coolest thing, like I said earlier, the coolest thing about arm wrestling is the community. Like
Yeah.
that's the coolest thing. Like you don't even have to hold. You can
Yeah.
go. Yeah,
I
you can
I
go
was
to the event.
I was less talking about I was using myself as an example, but I was wondering, are you guys not allowed to arm wrestle other stuff? Is that was a thing? I just picked me in the tournament, but I, I mean, you guys by contract can only arm wrestle wall things, or
No, that's not entirely true. I'll tell you, I'm a terrible reader, okay? And I should really read my contract a whole lot better so I could give you like the black and white answer. But I know that there is wiggle room. Basically, if you can get permission to do it, you can do it. And the WAL, in my experience, has been really open to all sorts of stuff. Normally, for guys, if they wear a WAL t-shirt, they're basically allowed to do whatever they want.
okay.
And don't quote me on that, okay? Check your contracts. Don't get in trouble. But basically, if you can wear a WL t-shirt, you're pretty good.
So you have a large social media following, right?
Wow, I don't know.
I mean, that's what I see. I mean, it, what percentage of the people who follow you are arm wrestlers? 5%, and then you have 95 fans, or is it 50-50?
I think that everybody who follows me is to some degree interested in arm wrestling. I think that there's probably like maybe, I don't know, 15,000, 20,000 hardcore arm wrestlers, maybe.
Yeah.
And the rest are like fans to some degree.
So would they go to tournaments to watch?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah. If there's a tournament in Chicago and everybody gets on social media and they're like, hey, guys, there's an event in downtown Chicago at this location. Yeah, you'll pack the house. Like, people want to watch. Like, yeah, it's good.
so can I say, I don't want to get controversial, but you brought up Schoolboy, and he's doing really well, right? Like,
Yeah.
I found it hard to believe that he's not like giving back to the sport by like hosting tournaments and things like that. So it's really disappointing. I want to be an awesome channel so I can, so you people out there, Schoolboy, build my channel, because I will do shit for arm wrestling. I mean, he may be bringing in fans, okay, but I want to do more. I want to do more. I always did. I have a big vision, so subscribe, bitches.
There you go, everybody. There you go.
I think that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions?
Listen, man, it's been so great to catch up with you. I loved you since the moment I met you. You're a founder of this sport. You're one of the seeds that has led us to where we are now. I'm so happy I'm going to be able to sit back in my rocking chair and watch all these times when I, was younger and all of us were kicking ass. So, thanks for everything you've done. And yeah, maybe we'll see you soon. Yeah.
Yes, I have two more thoughts. One, when I was doing ARMTV, the idea of putting arm wrestling from the internet on your television was still like not a thing. Now, because we're upscaling, you put that shit on your big screen and it's like, oh, damn, now we can really enjoy that. So I'm really excited about that. That's how people are watching it now, because when ARMTV in the early days, you couldn't enjoy it at that level. So I'm excited about that. And then second, I read online 3 or 4 places that you don't speak Canadian anymore. You don't sound Canadian. I was wondering, what is this? What happened? They said when they watched the videos, like, hey man, he sounds less Canadian. What is the deal there?
When I watched that video, I was so shocked. I'm like, what a nice, upstanding young man. I'm like, look at that guy. All respectful, being like, wow. I was like, what happened, Devon? What happened? Yeah.
So when I watch you on the big shows on the wall, is it a show, you trash talking? And because I don't recall you being as much of a mental mind mess with the opponent back then. Did that develop over time with your persona?
I think that, I've just continued to grow. My love and respect for the sport have continued to grow. I know that there's ways of fighting people that I was just beginning to understand back then, and it's grown and grown. And I think I'm just, from a technical and an experience point of view, I know that I'm way better now. I'm probably not as fit and as healthy, but like, I can throw a million pieces of crap at you now that I find I just have fun doing it. Like if I can be in front of 10,000 people being an idiot, I get a bit of a kick out of that. So
can I ask one more question? And I'm embarrassed that I don't know the answer because it's the one thing I forgot to look up. I've always just assumed that you're like the best in the world now and have been for the last couple of years since John retired. Is that true? Are you the best in the world?
No, that's not true. So I think that me on a great day, on a fantastic day, like right now, I could probably be as high as maybe third. I think so. After John in the right hand, I probably held the number one spot in the world till about 2013 ish. And I had surgery but I've been good. Like, I mean, I'm still good. Like, like I think if it's somebody around my weight, like I don't know. Like, I mean, I might be pretty good. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot, but the big guys now, like the level has changed. Like you couldn't, like, I don't think, I'll tell you my honest opinion, John Brzenk on his best day, stepping into today's arena, man, guys are bringing some heat now. It's some heat, like, because you got
internationally, you're meaning, not just USA, like worldwide.
Right, worldwide. Like, I mean, the size. Now, back in the day, like you would have big guys like a Cleve Dean or something, which was a rarity. But now you got guys with like frames like that are big, like guys 6'8", who are athletic, and they've been arm wrestling since they were 11. Like that's tough, man. That's tough.
Wow. Amazing. Do you see?
I don't care though. Like for me, ultimately, like being the best is great, but it's not the biggest reward. The biggest reward is just having fun, staying fit, staying healthy, having it somehow lead to some kind of growth in your life, and that hasn't stopped for me. So hey, my love is stronger than ever.
I have one final question, and I'll let you go. Sharon Remez, is it Sharon Remez or Remez?
Yeah.
Sharon. Yeah. He's really excited about the old footage I have where he's like giving it to you, and I was like, I'm going to use the title. It's a little clickbaity because I understand it's not in a tournament, but I'm like, it's a fun clip. And because Sharon messaged me, I was like, I feel like it's clickbaity, but okay. And it's like, I beat Devon Larratt. And I'm like, I hope he's okay. Are you okay with me being a little playful with that title on my video?
People get pins on me at practice, and that's all they post. So I'm grateful that at least you posted a little bit of backstory. So
okay,
whatever, man. That's all good. Yeah.
Hey, dude. You know what? It has been the fact that I'm putting my foot back in the water. The welcome mat that I've been getting from people, old friends, has really been rewarding. But I got to be honest, man. The fact that within like a couple days, I can message Devon Larratt, and he's like, "Hey, man, the fact that like we're talking, it's just so amazing to be able to talk to one of the best and someone who's so respected in the community."
Stop it. Hey, I love you, man, and we're all lucky to have you back, and we're all lucky for all that stuff that you did. So it's thank you, buddy, and we'll see you soon, man. Party time, California.
Thank you, and thank you for giving us that day where you came to Chehalis. I don't know how you got there, but that was magical arm wrestling right there, and I just thank you and John for giving us that moment, bro.
All right, guys, there you have it. Descriptions below. Everybody, see you soon.
Dude.